Good afternoon. My name is Jarvis, and I'm here to go give you a quick summary about chapters one and two of what we learned this week. The first thing we learned about was critical thinking. Critical thinking is the ability to understand the structure of an argument and apply a set of evaluative criteria to assess its merits. The importance of critical thinking is it helps guide legal analysis and business leadership, and it helps in legal reasoning. There are 8 steps to legal reasoning. First one is what are the facts? Second one is what is the issue? The third one is what are the reasons and conclusions? The fourth one is what are the relevant rules of law? The fifth one is does the legal argument contain significant ambiguity? The sixth one is what ethical norms are fundamental to the court's reasoning? Seventh one, how important, are the legal analogies? And the eighth and final one is there relevant missing information? In chapter one, we go through a case with the United States versus Martha Stewart. Many of you know about the case about Martha Stewart. She got into a little trouble because she sold part of her stock, and that's against the law. So in this case, the defendants filed a motion for a new trial, and they alleged that the witness in case had committed perjury in testimony on behalf of the prosecution. The motion for the new trial was denied, unfortunately. And then after this case, we get into what facts and issues are. A fact is a building block in a legal decision. It provides content for resolving issues, and an issue is a form of reaction. It questions a cause that a lawyer and the clients enter the legal system. Excuse me. Next, we get into reasons and conclusions and the relevant rules of law. A reason is an explanation of justification provided as support for a conclusion. And the relevant rules of law are records of relevant judicial decisions that provide legal opportunities for courts to base their conclusions on a case. And we get into ambiguity. This is the court's reasoning as it rests on its implied assumptions about the meaning of several ambiguous words or phrases. We got into political norms. One is freedom, and that is to act without restriction from rules imposed by others. Next is security, and that is to be safe from those wishing to interfere with your property rights. The third one is justice, and that is to treat all humans, regardless of their demographics, treat them all fairly. And then we have efficiency, and that is to maximize, and that is to get the most out from a particular input. Then we get into analogies and missing information. Analogies or when you compare legal precedents cited by parties with the facts of the case. And to use this, it is required that the independent evidence of the case is similar to the independent evidence of the precedent case. Missing information is questions that help in the understanding and the reasoning of a particular case. To focus on the relevant missing information, you always want to ask why we want it, to request for additional information. Then, to wrap up chapter one, we talk about how to apply your critical thinking skills, and you 3 tips. You want to use a systematic and methodical, approach. Secondly, you want to apply steps of legal reasoning to all cases, and third and final steps is you want to ask evaluative questions in other contexts. Then we move into chapter two. Chapter two is all about the legal side of business. Um, it is characterized by 5 features: critical thinking skills, legal literacy, and understanding that the law is dynamic, real world problems, and interdisciplinary nature. Um, there are there are 7 schools of different jurisprudence. Um, they are natural law school, positive school, sociological school, American realist school, critical legal studies school, feminist school, law and economic school. Then we learned about 3 branches and what they do: the legislative, the judicial, and the executive. Um, we also learned how a bill becomes a law. It goes through a tedious process through both the House and the Senate before it becomes to a group committee and then they vote on it. Um, we learned about the classifications of laws. There's different laws like case laws, criminal laws, civil laws, public laws, private laws, procedural laws. The list goes on. Then we learn about the global dimensions of the legal environment of business. We learned that trade treaties make international dimensions of the legal environment of business increasingly important to U.S. firms. The dimensions of international business the international dimensions of law that have an impact on business are four things: legal, financial, economic, and ethical variables. We learned about all these things in chapter one and chapter two. There's a lot more stuff. These are the things that I thought were very important to learn to know about chapters one and chapters two.